The deeper you go, the creepier prehistoric oceans get. Talk to me.
Prehistoric ocean wasn't just dangerous. It was a liquid horror show where nightmare creatures with giant eyes stalked through eternal darkness. And some of these monsters are still alive today.
And we're gonna see which ones I could take on, right? Because I feel like it wouldn't make sense if I don't like let y'all know where my talents lie on physical capabilities throughout all these monsters, ocean
Looking in
beast.
places we've barely explored. Look, we think the ocean today is scary, which fair enough. It's got great whites and giant squids and whatever else is
Where's the great blacks at?
down there that we haven't found yet. But prehistoric oceans, those were on a whole different level of nope. Picture this, you're in water so deep that sunlight gave up trying to reach you about half a mile ago.
I'm picturing
the pressure would crush you instantly.
Oh.
The temperature is just above freezing. And in this pitch black, bone-crushing void, things were living. And not just living, they were thriving. Getting weird, getting big, and getting really, really good at
Getting weird and getting big. What type of party have we walked into?
Stuff. See, back then, the deep ocean was where evolution went completely off the rails. No sunlight meant no plants, so everything down there had to get creative.
Dog, what the heck is this monstrosity?
About dinner. Some grew massive eyes to catch the tiniest hint of light. Others just said screw it and went blind altogether. A few decided to even make their own light and wave it around like some kind of underwater.
Yeah, which is raw. Like when you really think about it, like animals who make their own light, like the lightning bugs and the fish, that's crazy.
Killer with a flashlight. And the really messed up part, these weren't just random monsters
like
that
what
showed
is that?
up for a few million years and then died out. In fact, they were already ancient when dinosaurs were still figuring out how to walk upright. And here's what really gets me. We only know about the ones that left fossils. Most deep sea creatures just dissolve when they die. Their shells get eaten by acid and they vanish without a trace. So for every horrifying prehistoric sea monster that we found, there's probably a dozen worse ones that we'll never even know existed. Like imagine there are 12 creatures out there.
Like imagine this is real, like an actual humanoid fish. Oh man, that would be so
terrifying than the Megalodon. Deep Ocean back then was essentially a horror movie that ran for 500 million years, starring creatures that would make H.P. Lovecraft throw up, giant eyes staring through eternal darkness, teeth that don't fit in mouths.
Like, why? Like, stop showing that pig.
Their murder strategy since before your great times a million grandmother was even a twinkle in some
Palava salmon.
Meet the Ophthalmosaurus.
Yeah,
this thing lived 150 million years ago and had eyes the size of dinner plates. Not small dinner plates either. We're talking full-sized, fancy restaurant dinner plates.
Man, he's so adorable.
Each eyeball was 9 inches across, which is bigger than most basketballs.
That's huge.
Now, you might be thinking, oh, big eyes, so what? Well, those massive eyes weren't just for looking pretty. They were for seeing in complete darkness while diving deeper than most nuclear submarines go today. This reptile could hold its breath for over 20 minutes and dive over 3,000 feet down into water so dark you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
But it's a fish.
Why would anything want to do that though?
No, but it's a fish. So what do you mean by hold its breath?
Well, simple.
Like a dolphin?
Dinner was down there. The weirdest part is how good it was at this job. While other marine reptiles were splashing around in shallow water eating fish, Ophthalmosaurus was down there in the void.
Oh, he was getting action.
To spot the faintest glimmer of bioluminescence. Picture something bigger than a dolphin, but built like a torpedo, with eyes so big they had to be reinforced with rings of bone just so they wouldn't collapse under the pressure.
I'm taking it on because I'm gonna punch it in this big eye. Like that's a big eye for me to miss. Right before his beak touches me, I'm gonna be like, "Fa!" in the water, and he's gonna be like, "Yeah!"
And it wasn't even the only one doing this. We found these things all over Europe. So apparently diving into the abyss to hunt tentacled monsters was a popular career choice back then.
Is he getting touched?
You something about how messed up the Jurassic oceans really were. But what if you didn't even need massive eyes to be a nightmare? Phosphorus was only 12 feet long. In the world of prehistoric sea monsters,
12 feet. That's 12 feet long. That's more than 2 of me. And his eyes are small. I need to think about this one.
Long. In the world of prehistoric sea monsters, that's basically a minnow. But here's the thing about this particular minnow. It had forward-facing eyes. You know what else has forward-facing eyes? Owls, hawks, things that hunt and kill other things for a living. Most reptiles have eyes on the sides of their heads because they spend their time trying
running away.
Phosphorus, This guy had
he's
both
on the
eyes
prowl.
straight ahead.
He just like
Depth
me in the
perception that would
ocean.
make a sniper jealous.
Yo, I might not be able to take him out because he's just a better me since he built for the. Okay.
And those eyes were huge. Not ophthalmosaurus huge, but big enough that they probably took up half its skull. Scientists think this little monster was nocturnal, while all the big scary mosasaurs were sleeping off.
Is that
their
not
day
just
of
a
terrorizing
T-Rex
everything
in the
sight.
water?
Wackawackasaurus was just getting started. It would cruise through the dark waters, using those precision-guided eyes to pick off glowing lanternfish and squid that thought they were safe in the night. The really twisted part is how good it was at this job. We're talking about a reptile that figured out how to be an underwater owl 70 million years before actual owls even existed. It wasn't
See, I'm a man before his time. Is that not meat, bro? My favorite underwater creature, bro.
big prey in broad daylight, so it just waited until dark and became the ocean's first serial killer. And get this, it lived in Japan. So while T-Rex was stomping around on land, the waters off prehistoric Japan were being stalked by this small, precise killer with giant forward-facing eyes. Just cruising through the darkness, picking off anything dumb enough to light itself up. Talk about evolutionary specialization. Most mosasaurs were built like buses. This one was built like a scalpel. And of course, some deep sea killers took a more direct approach. Viperfish have teeth
that could never be me. Look at that ugly thing. First off, look at it. I'm catching it like this, and then I'm gonna bite the back of it to let it know who's boss. Man, disgusting fish.
So long, they stick out of their mouth even when it's closed. These aren't normal teeth. These are straight up fangs that curve back toward the eyes.
This can't be real. This literally looks fake. This looks like it's in a show.
Because there's literally nowhere else.
Like the eyeballs look painted on.
This fish has been perfecting its nightmare look for 15 million years. And honestly, it nailed it on the first try. The teeth are so big that if a human had proportional fangs, they would be dragging on the ground when you walked. But here's where it gets really messed up. Viperfish use these teeth by ramming into their prey at full speed. You'd think hitting something tooth first would mess up your skull pretty bad. Well, Viperfish thought of that too. They evolved a built-in crumple zone. The first bone behind their head is basically a shock absorber that keeps their brain from turning into soup.
So it just goes headbutting things. So it must have been a football player in this
dark, completely motionless
in this current light.
Something to swim by. Then it fires itself forward and impales whatever was unlucky enough to be in the neighborhood. There's no chase scene, there's no fancy hunting strategy, just pure
That's not me. That's not
efficiency.
Me. But how would I get that? So if it's attacking off of first movement, I'ma just move faster than it and then catch it. Because it's easy to see.
Viperfish have lights all along their
belly. It has lights on them.
Themselves from below, and a little fish lure on their back to attract prey from above. So they're basically a floating death trap with a neon sign that says free from here. And they're still doing this today. Right now, somewhere in the deep ocean, a viperfish is hanging perfectly still with its mouth full of fangs.
It is not moving, bruh. Like, it really is not moving a muscle.
They've been at it for millions of years, and they're not going to be stopping anytime soon. And they are really scary, but they're not that big compared to the goblin shark, which is also still around.
I see why it's called a goblin with that nostril. Oh my God, that schnauzer! How does that nose help it in evolution, bro? Please tell me. If it comes after me, I'ma just grab its nose and then won't be able to reach me with its mouth.
Today, the goblin shark looks like someone tried to design a shark, but had only ever had a description from someone who'd never seen one. Pink skin, flabby body, and a snout that looks like it belongs on a different animal entirely. But that's not even the scary part. The scary part is what happens when it opens its mouth. The goblin shark can shoot its entire jaw forward about a foot outside its head. Just boom. Suddenly, there's a
Why do fish just camp beside their predators? Like, that just pisses me off so badly.
Mouth where no mouth should be. Full of long needle teeth, grabbing whatever was unlucky enough to be nearby.
I'm telling you, y'all don't want to see me be a fish, bro. I'm taking over the ocean, bro. No matter if I'm Nemo or a great white, bro. I promise you I'm taking over the ocean. The survival instincts of these fish is ridiculous.
This thing has been doing this exact same strategy for 125 million years. We know this because we keep finding fossil goblin sharks that look exactly the same as the ones swimming around today.
They've been ugly for millions of years.
And trying new things, the goblin shark was just...
You know how crazy it is to be ugly for millions of years, bro? Millions. You know what's crazy? Like, someone looks in the mirror and they're like, I'm the best looking member of my family and I'm ugly, does that mean my whole bloodline just was ugly for millions of years? Is that how that works? Can a whole bloodline be cursed?
Going, nah, I'm good. This is working fine for me. And why would it change? It lives so deep that nothing bothers it. It just floats around in the dark, waiting for something to swim close enough to its face. Then it fires that jaw out and drags dinner back into its mouth. No chasing, no fighting.
Like that fish is literally just camping right beside him. Like you asked for that.
We barely ever see them
because they're ugly,
so deep, and are so rare that most people who study sharks for a living have never even seen a living one. But
and they're ugly
down there right now, drifting through the darkness with their extendable nightmare.
Like, get it out my face, please.
Same thing.
I've seen enough
since before grass existed.
I've seen enough.
Of sharks, there's another nightmare shark still living today. Frilled sharks look normal until you get up close.
Where's your teeth
then
at?
You realize this thing has 300 teeth arranged in.
Oh my goodness! I'm not gonna lie, his mouth makes me uncomfortable. Look at the teeth as it goes there. Oh my goodness, bro.
Thing has 300 teeth arranged in 25 rows, and every single one of them is shaped like a tiny trident.
Okay, so you need to make sure that he doesn't get a hold of you, because he gets a hold of you, you're not getting out. So what I'm probably gonna do is, like, I'm gonna wait for him, I'm gonna stalk him and wait for him to come after me. And as he's launching his mouth at me, I'm gonna push him. I'm gonna hit him with one of these, push him up, and then I'm gonna grab him with my grippers, right? And I'm probably gonna grow my nails out so I can really stab into him. And I'm gonna grab him like that, take a bite at him from this backside, easy.
When I say tiny, I mean each tooth is still big enough to do some serious damage. This shark is basically a 6-foot long swimming mouth that's been practicing the same routine for 80 billion years. It moves through the water like an eel, all wavy and smooth, until something gets too close. Then it strikes forward and swallows prey that's half its own size, whole. No chewing, no tearing it apart, just straight down the hatch. The really disturbing part is how good it is at hiding. Frilled sharks live in caves and
how do they breed? No, because I'm just really curious, because these animals have to breed to continue, and they're very ugly. So like, why would they want to keep breeding with each other? Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if I was one of these fish and I saw another fish like that, I'd be like, ugh.
Then come out at night to hunt. They're almost never seen.
That looks like a mole rat. Can we please keep them in the water?
Surface. So for most of human history, we had no idea they existed. We just kept finding their teeth in ancient rock and assuming they were extinct. Then, in the 1800s, some unlucky fisherman pulled one up and everyone realized these things never left. They've been down there this whole time, slithering through underwater caves and swallowing squid whole while the rest of the world moved on without them.
Like fish look so uncanny.
They're still doing it. Right now, somewhere in the deep Atlantic, a frilled shark is probably coiled up in some dark crevice.
Like, they look so uncanny, dog.
300-tooth mouth design that worked perfectly.
He has a lot of hyperpigmentation. He doesn't do his skincare like at all. Well, I know my skin isn't perfect, but man, you could try to take care of your skin a little bit more than that, bro. Like, come on.
Fine when dinosaurs were still walking around. This creature was so good at its job that evolution looked at this 80 million years ago and said, yeah, that's terrifying enough, and just kept it the same way. But some deep sea monsters found even stranger solutions.
Anglerfish, the most famous ugly fish of all time. Blobfish, one of the most famous fishes of all time though, bro.
Female anglerfish carry around their own personal fishing rod with a glowing lure on the end. They sit perfectly still in total darkness, waving this little light around until something swims over to investigate. Then they open their mouth and swallow whatever was dumb enough to fall for the oldest trick in the book. That's not the weird part though. The weird part is what happens when a male anglerfish finds a female. He bites onto her and then never lets go. Ever. In fact, his mouth fuses to her skin, his blood vessels connect to hers, and he basically becomes a permanent sperm-producing tumor on the side of her body. This has been going on for 50 million years, by the way.
Like, genuinely one of the ugliest things you could have ever shown me. There was no need to spread this pic at all.
These things are ancient. That was 50 billion years of males biting onto females and becoming living, breathing,
why is eyelashes so long?
Organs. The females are totally fine with this arrangement because finding a mate in the endless black void of the deep ocean is basically impossible otherwise, just like my dating life. The male doesn't even have a functioning digestive system once he attaches. He just hangs there, getting all his nutrients from the female's bloodstream, waiting for her to need his services. Some females have multiple males attached at once, which means they're swimming around with several zombie boyfriends grafted to their
swimming
bodies.
Around with a harem on them back.
Looked at the problem of finding mates in infinite darkness and said, you know what, let's just make all the males into parasites. And it works so well that there are now dozens of different anglerfish species. All
I don't need to see these dirty fish.
All the hunting, all the surviving, all the work. while carrying around what are essentially biological sperm banks that used to be an independent fish. It's the most one-sided relationship in the animal kingdom, and for some reason, both parties seem completely happy with it. But anglerfish weren't the first to thrive in impossible places.
Okay, now we're getting in. Now we're getting to disgustingness, tistyism, bro. Oh my god.
Creature, we need to go back to the beginning. 430 million years ago, the ocean floor was splitting open and spewing out water so hot it should have killed everything for miles around. Instead, worms moved in and built cities. Now, these weren't normal worms. They were tube worms that figured out how to live next to underwater volcanoes by making friends with bacteria.
I can't tell what's the worm was not, but I'm feeling uncomfortable.
The vents, and the worms would eat the bacteria. Everyone was happy except for anything that tried to live anywhere else on the sea floor, because it was basically a chemical wasteland. We know this happened because we keep finding fossilized
They're finding cigarettes?
worm tubes in ancient rocks that formed around these volcanic
Worm
vents.
tubes,
Thousands of tubes all clustered together around.
Yo, I bet you they go so hard on a chain though. You cut them up a little bit, put them on a chain.
What used to be black smokers shooting out 700-degree water. The worms had no eyes, no mouths, and no way to catch food on their own. They just sat there in their tubes, letting their bacterial roommates
just praying for the best.
In fact, they're doing the exact same setup in the exact same places, with the exact same species of bacteria. 400 million years later, and tube worms are still the only things tough enough to live right next to
what the heck? Okay, what is this? Is this the bacteria or is this the tube worm? This is, no, I'm not liking this at all, but they look like they might taste good.
Geysers. The really wild part is that these vent sites don't last very long. The volcanoes shut off, the chemistry changes, and the whole community has to pack up and find a new vent somewhere else. But somehow, these worms have been playing this game of volcanic musical chairs for nearly 500 million years. Most creatures spend their time trying to avoid getting cooked alive. Tube worms spent 430 million years perfecting the art of living inside a natural
I wonder if tube worms were real people, if they were like anime.
And speaking of ancient survivors, some fish took hiding to ridiculous extremes. In 1938, a museum curator got a phone call about a weird fish that had been caught off the coast.
I thought a fish caught her. I'm sitting here like, since when have fish learned how to dial?
Of South Africa. She went to look at it and immediately knew she was staring at something that was supposed to be extinct for 66 million years. The Khaleesians.
How did you know that off a rip?
Game of hide and seek. While everyone else was dealing with asteroid impacts and ice ages and whatever other disasters were happening on the surface, Khaleesians just moved into some deep underwater caves and decided to sit this whole modern era thing out. Scientists
just chills and vibes for millions of years,
going all the way back to fish that lived 360 billion.
Oh, like look at the size of the head of this fish, man. I might need at least 2 of me to take this one off.
Years ago, they figured these things died out with the dinosaurs. Turns out they just got really good at avoiding people. They were hanging out in caves 600 feet down, coming out at night to hunt, and basically living the exact same lifestyle. Their great
they kind of look cool though, besides their face.
Since before trees existed. The fish that got caught in 1938 caused such a big deal that they put out a reward for anyone who could find another one.
They literally said, hey, this fish might be extinct. If you find another one, I'll give you 20 bands. Like, this is how things go extinct, dog. 100 pounds. If y'all find this fish that should have been extinct. Like, that's why we don't have good things.
In fact, it took 14 years to find a second fish that had supposedly been extinct since the Cretaceous period. That's some next level hiding skills right there. And when they finally studied living coelacanths, they found out these fish hadn't bothered to evolve much of anything in all that time. Same weird fins, same weird skulls, and the same weird way of giving birth to live babies instead of laying eggs. So while everything else was evolving, adapting, and trying new things,
they just vibing.
Were in their caves going, nah, I'm good, I'll see you in a couple million years. But other ancient creatures took a different approach to survival in the oceans. Imagine walking through a forest where every single tree is actually an animal. Well, that's what the ancient sea floor looked like when sea lilies were running the show. These things grew 60 feet tall and swayed in the current with their feathery arms.
60 feet tall. 60. Right. Okay.
Out to catch food floating by. They weren't lilies and they weren't plants. They were animals that just happened to look like underwater flowers.
So like a Venus flytrap.
Floor in dense forests that stretched for miles.
They're the OG aquatic flytrap.
Some of these underwater trees were taller than a 6-story building. All of them stuck to the seafloor by their roots and waving their arms around trying to catch dinner. The crazy part is how successful this strategy was. For hundreds of millions of years, being a giant underwater flower was apparently the way to go. Sea lily fossils are so common that entire limestone cliffs are made out of nothing but their broken stems and arms. Literally whole mountains of dead sea lily parts. Most of them got wiped out during the big extinction at the end of the Permian period, but a few species said, you know what, we're just—
that just looks like an underwater spider.
Their thing in the abyss. We didn't even know they were still alive until the 1800s when someone finally dragged one up from the deep ocean. Today, there are still sea lilies down there, doing the exact same thing they've been doing for 300 billion years, standing around on the seafloor, waving their arms in the current, catching whatever floats by.
They're just doing
not as tall
nothing.
As they used to be, and there aren't nearly as many of them, but they're still out there being living flowers on the bottom of the ocean. Talk about sticking with what works. Now we're about to talk about my favorite prehistoric marine reptile, the Dinosaurs.
Is this an underwater giraffe? Why is his neck so long? This is easy claps for me. I've been completely forgetting the fact that I'm supposed to be killing. Okay, how would I kill the anglerfish? I'm grabbing this light and twisting it in a circle, bro. I'm not tweaking on the anglerfish, whatever. That stupid fish. Then the fish after that, the one that had different colors, it hid for millions of years. I'm not worried about something that doesn't want no smoke. And sea lilies, they're underground flowers. I'm eating those. Now this Wackawackamun, there is a small problem with this. It's purely because of how big it is, but that neck, I'm tearing that thing up. That neck is too long. He won't be able to figure out where I am. I'm gonna just be hiding on that neck. I'm gonna be pounding that neck, boy.
Abyssosaurus literally means bottomless lizard, which is probably the most metal name any prehistoric reptile ever got. And unlike most dinosaur names that sound way cooler than the actual animal, this one earned it. This thing was a plesiosaur that looked at the deep ocean, decided
He's like the aura sea creature. He trying to spook you. Boo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so scared. Give me that neck.
That's where it wanted to live permanently. Not just visit for hunting trips, but full-time residency in the abyss. So it evolved the heaviest bones of any marine reptile ever found. Dense, thick bones that worked as built-in weights to drag it down into the darkness. Most marine reptiles had lightweight bones to help them float and swim efficiently.
He didn't want that.
Dinosaurs went the opposite direction.
Yeah, he didn't want that.
Basically turned its skeleton into a lead vest. It wanted to sink, and it wanted to stay sunk. This thing wanted to get bit too. Of barrels to hold enough air for extended deep dives. Then it would just drop like a rock into water so deep that the pressure would crush a human instantly. Down there in the total darkness, it would cruise just
like I hate when they refer to like a human. Like, I'm not just a human, bro. I'm a big dog.
Or with those massive eyes scanning for anything dumb enough to be wandering around in the void. Small head, long neck, perfect for darting forward and grabbing squid or fish before they knew what hit them. And this wasn't just some weird experiment that lasted a few thousand years. Abyssosaurus was doing this for millions of years in the early Cretaceous, while other plesiosaurs were splashing around in shallow
that's a nasty looking dinosaur.
In the deepest, darkest parts of the
ocean.
A
nasty looking dinosaur.
A lifestyle that wouldn't be out of place in a horror movie. The name says it all. Bottomless lizard. It's also got like the coolest name of any dinosaur out there. It's a marine reptile, but it's got the similar
Tyrannosaurus Rex. There's not many names cooler than that.
Just said,
Pterodactyl's a fire name too.
Things got even weirder in the oceans.
What is this?
Ophthalmolithal lived near the Arctic
No, that's a Pokemon. What is his body type?
Ophthalmolithal lived near the Arctic
brother.
145 million years ago.
Brother.
It had to deal with months of total darkness during the polar winter. Most reptiles would have called that a deal breaker. Ophthalmolithal saw it as a business opportunity. This plesiosaur had huge eyes that pointed straight up at the ceiling of the ocean. It spent its entire life staring at the surface, waiting for something to swim overhead so it could see the silhouette against whatever tiny bit of light was filtering down. When it found something up there, it would rise up from the bottom like
ridiculously long neck.
Horror movie monster and grab whatever was unlucky enough to be swimming above it. But here is the really weird part. Scientists have found rocks in this thing's stomach. Not fish bones, not squid beaks, but rocks. The name ophthalmethal means eye of the north.
He's a rock type of guy. Like, Lord forbid a fish get a hobby.
Which is pretty accurate considering it was basically a swimming eyeball that lived at the North Pole. But long before any of these monsters existed, something made a terrible decision.
A shrimp.
Trilobites had the best eyes in the ocean for 200 million years. They had compound eyes with perfect crystal lenses.
Yeah, I don't like this. What is this, like a fly eye, bro? Like a spider eye?
Then some of them looked at the deep ocean and decided to throw all of it away. They just gave up sight entirely. They now had smooth blank spaces where their amazing eyes used to be. No pupils, no lenses, nothing. They voluntarily became blind and moved into the darkest parts of the ocean where they spent the next...
I can easily stomp one of these out too. That last guy kind of scary, bro. I don't know. I might stay away from him.
...years feeling around in the mud for dead things to eat. This wasn't some gradual evolutionary process either. These things had perfectly good eyes. Then their descendants just didn't. It was like something decided that seeing was overrated and crawling around blind on the seafloor was a better lifestyle choice. Obviously, there was an advantage to it. That is the whole point of evolution, where new traits that emerge that are beneficial lead to the species surviving.
Like, look at all these exact same animals with slight differences, and they all have different names, bro. Like, studying things like this has to be hell.
Apparently, it worked out pretty well for them because blind trilobites were everywhere in the deep ocean. Thousands of them all feeling their way around the darkness with their antennae, bumping into each other, stepping on dead fish, living their best lives without any idea what anything actually looked like. In fact, they survived multiple mass extinctions this way.
You think they can learn Braille?
If you can't see the asteroid coming, there's no point in worrying about it. The last trilobites on Earth were probably the blind deep sea ones, still crawling around in the mud, still feeling for food with their antennae.
I wonder.
Unaware that they were the final members of one of the most successful
they're dead.
in history.
Dang, they can't learn Braille.
Ignorance really is bliss. But today's deep ocean has its own version of unstoppable
giant
scavengers
isopod.
That look like bugs. Giant isopods are what happens when you take a regular pill bug and feed it nothing but protein powder.
Oh, I thought that was like a lobster or something.
These things are the size of footballs and can go 5 years without
eating. That is a lobster.
5 years.
5 years without eating? I think I want to go 5 years eating only it. Look at that. Like, how can you go 5 years for what?
That is nuts. They also look creepy as hell. There is a giant isopod in
This is like a boss, like a face of a boss in a horror game or some sort, bruh.
Captivity that didn't eat for
like
half
an
a
NPC
decade and then died. Probably just to prove a point to humans that we don't deserve to keep them. They live on the deep ocean floor where food is so scarce that when something finally dies and sinks down to their level, it's like Christmas morning. Hundreds of these massive ocean bugs will detect the smell from miles away and come swarming over to the carcass like the world's most disturbing family reunion. Once they find a dead whale or fish, they'll gorge themselves until they are so stuffed they can barely move.
Are they just laying on each other?
Christmas dinner. Then they will just sit there for months, maybe years, slowly digesting their meal while waiting for the next thing to die and fall from above.
Now these are nasty. Please get out of my face.
Most animals would starve to death in a few weeks without food. Giant isopods have turned waiting into an art form. They'll sit perfectly still on the sea floor, doing absolutely
everything
nothing
about this thing is nasty looking, bro.
Alive. And when they do finally encounter a predator, they just roll up into a ball.
Next fish.
Go away.
Next fish.
Running, no fighting, just full-on defense.
Please, next fish.
Gets bored and leaves. They're essentially the ocean's version of that friend who deals with problems by pretending they don't exist. 30 million years of evolution, and their survival strategy is eating once every few years and hiding from their problems.
That gotta be hard though, you know what I'm saying? You just living life. You're like, oh wait, been about half a decade, time to eat, and then go back to living life. Like, I bet you they have the best stories because all they do is just roam around, you know, enjoying life without having to worry about eating. They might actually have some good stories to tell. We should try to learn how to communicate with them. When we learn how to communicate with fish, they'll be able to let us know like what type of things are really in the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, what were they seeing? They've been around for millions of years and they can't speak a single word underwater. They can't make no clicks. They've been around for millions of years and they don't produce any sound. Like, what? So whales go and that's it?
But even those survivors look normal.
What the heck is this giant? What is this? Diplomaticosaurus.
Next.
Yeah, okay.
Scientists found a fossil that looked like someone had bent a giant squid shell into a paperclip and decided that was a perfectly reasonable way to live for 200 years. That's Diplomaceras, and yes, you heard that right. It lived for 200 years. This thing outlived entire
What?
dinosaurs known to live long, well shaped like office supplies.
Hold on, why were dinosaurs living for 100 years in the first place? Imagine them on a proper diet. Like, they were able to count their macros and things of that nature. They exercise, like, you know what I'm saying? They might be able to live for like 150. Imagine if they had medicine. Bro, if dinosaurs had medicine, they could have been pushing like 175. Cause what, once we started learning about medicine and then we started learning about things that are healthy and unhealthy, human like life expectancy literally doubled. We doubled. Theirs could double. I think you send me back in time with the dinosaurs, I could literally double their lifespan. We can build enough dinosaurs that are like alive, you know what I'm saying? So since lifespans are getting doubled, that means more dinosaurs gonna be alive at one time. Then I get a group of them, I motivate a group of them, right? On some Urban type speech, and we send them all in a crater. That's gonna be where the asteroid lands and they block it. Yo, I'm onto something, bro. Send me back in time, bro. I'm gonna see if I can get some dinosaurs to help block the asteroid. Hold up.
There are very few things on Earth that can live longer than 200 years. I can only name like the Greenland shark off the top of my head. Not a lot of things have ever lived that long. Most ammonites curled their shells into tight spirals because that's efficient and makes sense. Diplomaceras looked at that design and said, actually,
You look like a
what
trumpet.
if I just grew in a big U shape instead? And it proceeded to float around in the ancient ocean for 2 centuries, looking like a 10-foot tall paperclip with tentacles. The shell shape was so weird that when paleontologists first found these fossils, they thought they were looking at multiple different animals that had somehow gotten stuck together. Nobody could believe that one creature would voluntarily grow itself into that shape and then live with the consequences for 200 years.
That's so
But
ugly,
apparently
bro.
the
How do they breed?
lifestyle worked out great.
How do they breed?
Diplomaceras would float vertically in the water with its head hanging down from the bottom of the U, just hovering there and grabbing whatever swam by. And they did this for a very long time. The same individual ammonite floating
They
in the
could
same
be a
spot,
tuba
shaped
too.
like a paperclip for longer than Canada has existed as a country. They counted the growth rings in the shell and found 200 of them, which means this
How did they
thing
breed,
was
though?
already ancient when it was still alive. Evolution spent millions of years perfecting the spiral shell design, then Diplomaceras showed up and decided to reinvent.
This could definitely be a Pokemon. If this was a Pokemon, people would literally get mad at Pokemon for the design because they're gonna be like, oh, this is so stupid. Like, y'all are just like designing stupid things.
the wheel as a pretzel. Yet even that weirdness pales next to the ocean's
What is
first
that?
aliens. Charnia.
thought that was a-
565 million years ago, before
Never
there
mind.
were fish, before there were any sharks, before there were basically any animals you would recognize, the deep ocean floor was covered in things that looked like they'd been designed by aliens
Just
who
like
had never
feathers.
seen Earth life before. Charnia was a 2-meter tall feather made of living tissue that
Y'all didn't know I'm like that, huh? Just one more thing to remind you that I'm really like that. Come on now. No matter how much y'all gonna say I'm not, I just proved that I am. You're not like that. Y'all talking about some leaf. Come on, guys. Y'all didn't know the earth grew feathers, man?
had no mouth, no stomach, no eyes, and no way to move. It just stood there on the seafloor, swaying in the current, absorbing nutrients directly through its skin from the surrounding water.
Bro's life
for
must have been
tens of
boring.
millions of years. No predators existed yet, so nothing bothered it. No competition for food, so it didn't need to hunt. No reason to evolve quickly, so it stayed
Hell
exactly
vibes.
the same, doing
not
exactly
gonna lie.
nothing that for longer than complex life has existed anywhere else. These things covered the
And you know,
ancient
bro,
seafloor in vast.
Like, it can't even do a money spread. It's just sitting there flowing in the ocean. And they can't do a single money spread. Like, get this out of here.
Thousands of them, all identical, all motionless, all just standing there absorbing chemicals from seawater while the rest of Earth figured out what evolution was supposed to be doing. They had fractal patterns built into their bodies that repeated at every level of magnification. Perfectly mathematical designs that wouldn't look out of place in a computer program.
Is that an Earth's butt plug? Y'all are not slick, man. Let's be so for real.
Except this was half a billion
That's
years
an
before
earthly butt
computers
plug,
or
bruh.
math or anything that should have been able to create patterns that precise even existed. When Charnia finally went extinct, it left no descendants. Nothing alive today is even remotely related to it. It was an
Dang.
evolutionary experiment that ran for 30 million years. Then
Yo,
it
it
completely
sucked.
vanished, leaving only fossils to prove it ever existed.
El Bozo.
The ocean's first complex life forms were alien feathered creatures with fractal patterns that fed by standing perfectly
El
still
Bozo.
and absorbing nutrients from them. Honestly, there are probably millions more of animal species, even weirder, we don't
Just-
even know
yeah,
about.
we don't
'Cause
know,
that is the
'cause
scary
they all
part about
died.
the prehistoric ancient ocean. There are so
And
many
left no
species we've
fossils.
found, and yet there are so many we haven't. There are probably monsters that once lived down there that we would think were aliens of how crazy they are. What do you think is still down there today?
Forget what's down there, man. I need them to find proof of dragons. I don't know if they have. I know they found something like maybe somewhat similar, but I want to confirm dragons so I can like do it, reverse engineer his DNA and raise one nowadays. And keep in mind, 99% of species haven't fossilized. Bozos. Doing the exact same thing they've been doing since before grass existed. I'll give them something to grass about. Amazing video, Spin O Snack.